So today I wanted to respond to one of the challenges issued by Tessa. Specifically, I'm going to talk about collections of things. Now, an important thing to note about myself is that I am a Packrat, which means that most of the collections of things that I have are things that I'm not collecting because I necessarily want to, but just because I do. The biggest example of this being receipts. I have a lot of receipts that I very much don't need, and I'm not going to show them to you because what's the point? It's not really that interesting. It's a bunch of paper kind of stacked together. Not even stacked, it's more like a mountain. So I have a lot of things like that that are not overly interesting to talk about. But I do have some collections of things that I collected simply because I wanted to. A couple of these collections are things that aren't here with me because they're back in Bowling Green. One of them is my collection of stuffed animals. Growing up, I collected a lot of stuffed animals, and I do mean a lot. Some of them did make it here, specifically my teddy bear Beater, and a camouflage dog that my girlfriend got me a few years ago, and of course the common cold. Now, if you've been watching my videos from the very, very beginning of me starting, you will probably recognize the common cold because he was very, very important to season 1 of my channel back in 2012. So 3 of them made it from Bowling Green, but the rest of them stayed behind because that would have been a lot to transport, and there's not like a ton of room in my room for these things, so they're just back in Bowling Green. The other thing that I collect is geodes. Back when I was living in Ohio, I went to the Renaissance Festival, the Ohio Renaissance Festival, with my family every year. And every time I would go, I would get a geode because I really like them. And now, although I unfortunately can't go to the Ohio Renaissance Festival anymore, no longer living in Ohio, whenever my parents go, they always give me a geode because they're nice like that. When it comes to collections that I have here with me, the one that jumps to mind pretty readily is books. It's always weird to me to consider books as a collection, but it is something that I collect, so I guess it does technically count. I'm hoping to be able to record a moment where I show all the books that I have out here. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, probably not at the moment, because I want to wrap this up pretty quickly because I gotta go to work soon, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so we have 2 bookshelves that we use for books out here, and while not all of the books on them are mine, a vast majority of them are mine, and I'm going to show them to you just real quick. So, this entire top shelf here, those are all mine, and then this next section, this is also all mine, and then this is actually Abby's shelf. Down here, this is also all mine. And then this half is Abby's, but this half is mine. There's just some scripts that I own. And then this bottom shelf, that's all mine. And then we come over here, and this top shelf here is Abby's, but this down here, all of these are mine. And then there's a box over here, not the Sailor Moon backpack, that's Abby's, but the box underneath it is also full of books that I haven't unpacked yet. And keep in mind, the ones that I am showing you here are only some of the books that I actually own. In fact, there's a lot of books kind of strewn throughout the apartment that aren't on the bookshelves, most of them being in my room, but I'm not going to show those to you because, again, as previously mentioned with Packrat, my room is a complete mess, so I have a lot of books, and this isn't even all the ones that I own, this is just all the ones that I have here in Minnesota with me. The other thing that I collect that I have here with me is hats. So real quick story, I know this video is probably going to be long because, again, I'm a rambly man, but I did kind of want to get into just real quick as to why I collect hats. So I didn't used to wear hats. Like, I never wore them as a child, I didn't really wear them in high school. I didn't actually start wearing hats until 2012. That's the year that I went on a mission trip to the Bahamas with the Methodist group on campus. And this was over the summer, so it was very warm, very sunny, meant that I was very susceptible to burning. I was, however, very good at putting sunscreen on, so I figured that it wouldn't be that much of a problem. But I didn't take into account that the top of my head can in fact burn. I figured that since I have a lot of hair that it would protect my head, but not only is there a part when you part your hair, but my hair is also pretty thin, so it did not protect my head from the sun whatsoever. And Just so it is known, if you've never experienced sunburn on the top of your head, I do not recommend it. It was not a fun experience. So, as we were leaving the Bahamas after our trip, I stopped by a kind of souvenir-esque store and got this hat, the very first one that I purposely bought. It's nice and green, I like the color green, and it says Eleuthera, which is where we specifically were in the Bahamas. It's not for everyone. I do my best to keep this hat safe. I've lost quite a few hats over the years, but I've not lost this one, and I'm not planning on doing that now. So now I'm just going to give a quick rundown of all the hats that I have, just because. This first one is from Cedar Point. That's what the CP there stands for. There it is in the back. This one is actually a sports hat, which may confuse those of you who know me and know that I don't care that much about sports. Basically, the rundown of what you have to know is one day at work I ended up leaving some stuff outside. Now this isn't overly unusual. What I do in my job is push carts inside, and we have this device, this machine that we use to push them inside. And I usually leave like my water bottle in there when I go places, and it's not usually a problem. This time I left both my water bottle and my hat in there, and someone came along and took them. And again, this had never happened before, which is why I felt comfortable leaving them there. I don't leave things in there anymore when I walk away. So I got this hat actually from Target, as well as a new water bottle to replace the ones that I lost. And while I like the hat well enough, the main problem is the hat that I lost was one from the Ohio Renaissance Festival that had a dragon on it. This is a Hufflepuff hat that I actually got from Target. Yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff. It's nice to have. A friend of mine actually got this, not for me, but she got it for herself and then told me about it, so I rushed out and I was able to get one, which I was happy about. This hat is from the Toledo Zoo. I got it at the Toledo Zoo. This hat is actually from Lakeside, Ohio, specifically from a place called Coffee and Cream. It's basically a coffee shop. You can go there, they have free Wi-Fi, it's a whole thing, and it's really nice, and they sell hats. Well, Lakeside, Ohio there on the end, so yeah. This hat is from Busch Gardens in Florida. I went to Florida for a tour that I did with men's chorus back in college, and got this hat from there, so that was fun. This Seven Dwarfs hat is actually the one that I've had the longest. I think my parents probably got it for me, because the last one I went to Walt Disney World was 2004, which means that I either got this in 2004 or in 2000 when we went before then. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Has all the dwarf names around it, including Bashful here on the bottom, because he's bashful. This is my most recent purchase from the Science Museum of Minnesota, because I really like the hat, I really like the Science Museum. If you're ever coming to the Twin Cities, I would suggest going to the Science Museum, because it's a pretty cool place. This one is from the Akron Zoo. It is my second zoo hat, and yeah, not much else to that one. I got this from the Akron Zoo. And finally, I have this one from the Black Swamp Arts Festival. That's what this symbol is. Black Swamp Arts Festival is a festival that the Bowling Green does every year to kind of allow people to sell their art, and it's really cool. And I actually did a video on it a few years back. I'll try to put a link to that down in the doobly-doo or in the iCard if I can figure out how that works. If you want to go check it out, it's definitely a really cool place. So yeah, that is everything that I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully this doesn't end up being too long, because I, again, have work, and so I'm going to need to do everything once I get back from work. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap everything up so I can go to work. So thanks for watching, and I will see all of you tomorrow.